his final match at Revolution. But before coming to an end in All Elite Wrestling, he had already appeared to retire from pro wrestling altogether years earlier. In 2016, Sting was rightfully inducted in the WWE Hall of Fame. During his heartfelt acceptance speech, he announced his retirement from professional wrestling. However, the wrestling world was in for a seismic shock 4 years later in 2020. At the monumental AEW event Winter is Coming in December of 2020, Sting made a thunderous debut, bringing in the start of an unexpected, exhilarating new chapter in his multi-decade storied career. This return marked a breathtaking resurgence, igniting what many consider to be one of Sting's most electrifying chapters of his career. As Sting, inarguably one of the most beloved pro wrestlers of all time, one who has truly transcended generations, is about to call it a career and have what is being advertised as his last match ever. The journey for the icon's resurrection in wrestling is a tale worth diving into. Let's uncover the captivating story of Sting's triumphant run in All Elite. This is Sportskeeda Wrestling. I am Kevin. Let us know what you, watching this video right now, think of Sting's time in AEW. Hit the like button, and if you don't, I'm just gonna hit you with the end of a baseball bat. I'm not gonna swing it, just the end. I'm gonna nudge you. A man known to mortals as Steve Borden, who broke into the wrestling business in the 1980s, would become one of the biggest names in the business with WCW during their prime years, going head-to-head with WWE in the Monday Night Wars. So when WWE acquired WCW in 2001, fans wanted to see him, Sting, the man who was the franchise player for the competition, in WWE. Oh, the dream matches we could get with the icon. But dreams were just that, things that wouldn't be fulfilled, at least depending on who you talk to. Sting wouldn't join the WWE right away, even though there was reportedly some offers there, and the way that some WCW superstars were being treated in WWE may have made him not really want to jump into that just yet. In 2003, after sporadically performing around the world in isolated matches with other names that were holdovers from WCW, Stinger joined TNA Wrestling, helping establish it as the challenger brand for WWE in the 2000s, where he would capture the world title on numerous occasions, share the screen, and raise the star power of names like AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Kurt Angle, and familiar foes like Hulk Hogan. Sting's star power was an anchoring force for TNA until 2014. It's Sting! It finally happened. In 2014, Sting surprised everyone, showing up and truly influencing the end of a huge Survivor Series pay-per-view main event. The momentous occasion saw fans absolutely lose their mind as the man with the vibes of the Crow movie made his way to the ring. It felt like such a special moment. However, his tenure in WWE ultimately proved to be disappointing circumstantially and just because of other factors that played into it. He lost his first match in WWE at WrestleMania 31. What a way to be presented, but he lost it to Triple H, the franchise guy of WWE against the franchise guy of WCW, and he failed to capture the WWE Championship at Night of Champions 2015 against Seth Rollins. That match was really, really good until Sting got injured on a buckle bomb and nearly suffered a serious spinal injury. The culmination of Sting's WWE journey came to an end in 2016 with his induction in the WWE Hall of Fame, where he announced his retirement from pro wrestling, or at least that's what we thought at the time. This left the bitter tastes in the mouths of many fans, discontent simmering under the surface, with many feeling like WWE did wrong by one of the biggest names from WCW. Obviously, injuries and the risk of it, along with Father Time catching up with Sting, may have influenced this decision. He made sporadic appearances for WWE thereafter, but it was reported that Sting was no longer under contract with WWE coming up in 2020. Many felt that Sting was done with wrestling at this point. Coming near 60 years old and having such an already successful career, what else was there left to prove? However, a new, well-financed option would come up against WWE in AEW. Backed by NFL Jacksonville Jaguars executive Tony Khan, AEW was airing on TNT, the same TV network in the United States that aired WCW. They were familiar with that man called Sting. Then, on a fateful episode of AEW Dynamite titled Winter is Coming on December 2nd, 2020, chaos ensued as the Team Taz faction launched an assault on the fan favorites Cody Rhodes, Dustin Rhodes, and Darby Allin, who would come to their rescue. In a moment that sent shockwaves across the arena of wrestling fandom, the lights dimmed. The iconic figure of Sting emerged, greeted by an eruption of cheers from the crowd, the nostalgic resonance coming through the generations, further amplified by the cry of, It's Sting! From Tony Schiavone, a voice deeply intertwined with Sting's WCW years, making it a thrilling new chapter, revived in the present, but honoring the past. Sting was in AEW. In the follow-up episode of Dynamite, Sting said that there's something familiar about this place, pointing at a young Darby Allin. Fans had already begun drawing comparisons between Darby and Sting. Despite their contrasting wrestling styles in the ring, their notable parallels between the two were there. Both exuded an aura of mystery, darkness, and an enigmatic allure. Sting's legendary Crow persona in the WCW days, marked of black and white face paint and a brooding presence, found echoes in Allen's modern-day dark, unconventional persona as a daredevil in AEW. Aligning Darby with Sting felt like a no-brainer. It worked wonders for the icon, and the decision yielded remarkable results for the wrestling promotion. It also allowed Sting to not have to be in the ring as a single superstar, lessening the load on him but still allowing him to be an active and influential attraction to the storylines and overall presentation of everything elite. Now, when would Sting get back in the ring? We were seeing him at ringside with Darby Allin quite a bit, but the anticipation was quickly brewing as Sting was going to get in there and get physical. When was he going to have another match? That came on January 21st, 2021, when it was revealed that Sting would join forces with Allin to take on Team Taz's Brian Cage and Ricky Starks in a street fight scheduled for the Revolution pay-per-view event on March 7th. This heralds Sting's return to the ring for the first time since he faced Rollins years earlier in that WWE title match in September of 2015. It was a special attraction, one that AEW was presenting exclusively on their platform with a beloved name. Notably, this match was a pre-taped cinematic presentation, ensuring Sting's involvement could be safer and in more of a controlled environment. These were the pandemic times, cinematic matches were the norm. Sting and Darby won the match with a huge, overwhelming amount of fan support. It was just a few months in, and Sting's AEW run was already better than the time he had in WWE. Yes, we can hear you screaming at us in the comments already. But Darby persuaded Sting to step into the realm of live events. Fans hadn't seen him in the ring in a live setting like this in some time. The cinematic matches may have become a thing of the past, and this marks Sting's first live match in front of a live crowd since 2015. From this point forward, Sting and Darby emerged as two standout attractions in AEW. Their partnership continued to flourish. For the first time in 20 years, on August 18th, 2021, on an episode of Dynamite, Sting stepped into the ring on TNT, teaming with Allin to triumph over 2.0. As AEW continued to be on a roll, acquiring big names who left WWE, on August 21st, 2021, the highly anticipated debut of CM Punk unfolded in front of a sold-out crowd in Chicago. While we won't delve into the specifics of his tenure with the company, we have other videos about that, it's worth noting that Sting played a significant role during Punk's debut and initial days in AEW. The best in the world squared off in his return match to pro wrestling in general with Sting's protege, Darby Allin, at the All Out pay-per-view. During this time, Sting was at ringside, sharing several interactions with CM Punk, sparking speculation among fans about the possibility of a future match between the two icons. While the anticipated match never materialized, fans were treated to a different kind of spectacle. Punk and Sting would later join forces along Darby in a thrilling 6-man tag team match against the villainous MJF and FTR in December of 2021. It is one of the best TV matches that AEW has ever had. Sting continued to grace us with his presence on AEW television. At the Revolution pay-per-view event, Sting, alongside Sammy Guevara and Allin, emerged victorious in a tornado tag team match against Andrade, Matt Hardy, and Isaiah Cassidy. We were starting to see a pattern here. Sting continued to be limited in his physicality, but every time he was, it felt special. It was saved for the big events. He made a notable appearance with Darby at AEW New Japan Pro Wrestling's Forbidden Door, a collaborative event between AEW and New Japan in June of 2022. Teaming up with Shingo Takagi of the LIJ faction, they competed in a thrilling 6-man tag team match, and the trio emerged victorious over the Young Bucks and El Fantasmo. More on those Young Bucks in a little bit. It looked like Sting was having a ball. He wasn't there every week, but when he was, fans got that special something. They greeted him with thunderous applause and excitement. That's how a legend should be booked. If he was going to have a supporting role, it was an influential one, and he was always treated as someone who was revered, even by his foes and villains in AEW. Sting was also able to do some outlandishly crazy things in matches around this time, jumping off balconies in his 60s. At All Out, Sting, Allin, and Miro secured a victory against the House of Black in another 6-man tag team match. The occultic bad dudes of the House of Black, Brody King and Buddy Matthews, were on the receiving end of a beating from Sting and Darby at the Rampage Grand Slam event. During this match, we got something else. A longtime in-ring rival of Sting from his WCW days, the biggest superstar to maybe ever leap out of New Japan Pro Wrestling to the stateside wrestling landscape, the Great Muta, unexpectedly came out and aided them in an assault by the House of Black. Finally, at Full Gear, Sting and Allin emerged victorious once again, this time overcoming a challenge posed by Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. But a more interesting match for longtime fans of Sting would go down in Japan, the Great Muta's final bye-bye event. Sting and Allin joined forces with Muta and defeated Akira, Hakushi, and Nomichi Marufuji in a trios match. This would be the final match of Keiji Muto under the Great Muta persona, and for Sting to be a part of it made it even more special. Maybe this got Sting thinking about the special occasion he would want for his final match. The summer of 2023 saw Sting and Allin finding themselves embroiled in a heated rivalry with Swerve Strickland and his devious group, the Mogul Embassy. Amidst these developments, Sting also found a challenge from someone of his past, Christian Cage, who is now a really despised person on television. The rivalry intensified, leading to a significant showdown at AEW's biggest show ever in front of a sold-out crowd, their first show ever in the UK at Wembley Stadium, All In. It was revealed Sting and Darby would up the ante, going head-to-head with Swerve and Cage in a coffin match. Stepping into the ring with the enigmatic Joker persona, Sting added a little bit more flair, getting a little crazy alongside Allin, besting Strickland and Cage in a special match. The feud with Christian reached new heights when Darby challenged him for the AEW TNT Championship at the Wrestle Dream event. Despite a valiant effort, Christian successfully retained, for all of his nefarious tactics. However, tensions escalated post-match when Christian targeted Sting. Before Christian could execute this brutal assault, who came out? You think you know me? You think you know me? Adam Copeland, known to most of us as Edge, yes, Christian's longtime tag team partner, made his highly anticipated debut to save the day. A different story altogether. It's worth noting that Sting played a pivotal role in Copeland's early days in AEW, much like he did with Punk. Teaming with Adam Copeland and Sting joined forces to take on Christian Cage, the now evil Nick Wayne, and Luchasaurus in a, wait for it, 6-man tag team match at Full Gear, a match they would win. The 6-man tag team matches were limiting what Sting would do in the ring, and that was done for a reason, to preserve him as a special attraction in AEW. And now at 64 years old, he had reached what looks like the end of the line. On the October 18th, 2023 episode of Dynamite, Sting announced, emotionally, that he would be hanging up his boots for good in in-ring competition in 2024. He also announced that his final match would take place at Revolution on March 3rd in North Carolina, part of the territory that he made famous with Jim Crockett Promotions, which eventually became WCW. Thousands of tickets were sold in Greensboro, North Carolina in anticipation for this very momentous match, the final one for the Stinger. And with this announcement, AEW President Tony Khan came up with something special, a huge surprise for the icon, by signing one of Sting's greatest friends and greatest rivals in the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. Rick made his debut for the company on the October 25th episode of Dynamite and expressed his intention to stand by Sting's side for his farewell run into this final match, marking a poignant return between these two legendary figures in the business. In the weeks leading up to Sting's retirement, discussions and speculations arose regarding who would serve as a fitting final opponent. Among the fan base, a prevalent sentiment emerged that if it was going to be a singles match, Sting should face Darby Allin. Given Darby's integral role to Sting's final chapter in pro wrestling, their shared history, many believed it would be the right choice, an emotional one, and certainly give Darby, yet again, an extra little rub. However, Sting had been adamant about not wanting to participate in a singles match at this stage of his career, and considering those serious spinal issues while he's still wrestling on them, even in a limited capacity, that's still a smart decision. As a result, the idea of Sting facing Darby in a singles bout was kind of dismissed. Instead, AEW opted to book Sting in a tag team match alongside Darby for his farewell bout. The opponents chosen for this very, very special match were none other than the widely acclaimed, but also controversial tag team duo that many feel might be the best tag team of their generation, the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson. Also, the executive vice presidents who are tied to some very controversial backstage issues, who now portray themselves as evil corporate villains, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson. But before Sting could bid farewell to the wrestling world with his final match, there remained one significant milestone for him to achieve: winning one final championship. Thus, AEW booked a tag team championship challenge for him and Darby against Ricky Starks and Big Bill. In a memorable and special match, they secured the title on the February 2nd, 2023 episode of Dynamite. It was a poignant moment as Sting clinched his first championship in what might be the last of his career in AEW, along with the man who helped sustain his stardom in modern wrestling. The celebration would be short-lived, as moments later, after this triumphant victory, Matthew and Nicholas abruptly stormed the ring in their glitterati white suits, launching a vicious, bloody attack with baseball attack. The brutal attack left the newly crowned champions battered and in their own blood, and casting a dark shadow over what should have been a special fun thing. God damn you, Young Bucks. Don't worry, Sting's been assaulted like this by the Four Horsemen and other bad guy groups in the past. And when it comes down for that road to wind its way into Greensboro, Sting putting on the makeup one last time, lacing up the boots one last time, he will wrestle his final match at AEW Revolution with Darby Allin at his side. And the Young Bucks are going to have hell to pay. As top names in AEW with their current heel personas, they could provide the perfect foil for Sting's farewell, maybe even ensuring a chance that they get to win this final match for Sting. Maybe fans had hoped Sting's tag team championship reign would be a little bit longer, but nevertheless, his title win in AEW is a testament to his enduring legacy. Now, all we have waiting for Revolution is possible revenge. He might win, he might lose. It does add a little bit more of a what's going to happen factor with the titles being brought into it. But one thing is for sure, Sting will retire at Revolution. Reflecting on Sting's tenure in AEW, it's clear that Tony Khan's management of the wrestling icon is commendable. A lot of people critical of Tony Khan and other things in AEW, but despite any missteps along the way, AEW's handling of Sting's character has been nothing short of exemplary, ensuring that the final years of his wrestling career have been made to feel special. That's showtime, folks. Let us know what you think of Sting. What are your favorite matches from his career overall? What have you thought of his time in AEW? Those comments are right down there.